Kidd is, or was, I should say, was indeed a real pirate. Now, how did he come about to be is really the question. Well, he starts out as a privateer. Now, if you know the difference, if you know anything about pirate history in the late 1600s, the golden age of piracy, mid 1600s, 1700s, mostly the 1600s, privateers were basically pirates that were commissioned by a state government, meaning England or France or Spain, the major powers. They would commission people to go out and pirate their opposing nations. And this is how they did war. This is how they fought war off of direct impact, direct battles. They fought their wars against each other by having privateers that would roam the seas and pillage their opposing nations. And Captain William Kidd was a private English privateer. He's originally a Scotsman from Scotland, quite an amazing sailor, a reputation for being a great sailor. He became a privateer with a commission from the King of England to pirate against the French and the Spanish. And he had done this for quite a while until the late 1600s, I should say, where he began to do things on his own. He began to do a little pirating on his own. And at that same time, the English colonies were getting a reputation for being a hub for piracy. And England wanted to do something about it. They couldn't have this. This had to be stopped. And because Kidd had gone beyond the parameters of his privateering commission, he was a perfect target for them. And they set a trap for him in New Jersey, because he used to come to New Jersey quite often. He had a base in New Jersey, and it's said that he hid treasure in New Jersey too, which is kind of the basis of the ghost story here as well. But in May 23rd of 1701, he is executed, and he's executed in England. And how they got him there was that in the summer of 1698, basically, he was anchored near the Brigantine Inlet. And he came ashore and he buried some treasure. And at that time, it is said that a fight occurred between him and his best mate, who had the name of Timothy Jones. And he ends up killing his first mate. Now, he buries his treasure, and he buries his former friend right next to the treasure. And word got out about this. And the royal governor was not too happy about this at all and decided, we're going to make an example out of him. We're going to get rid of him once and for all. So they set a trap. And the trap was that it was well known that Captain Kidd wanted to get back in the good graces of the king, because he had been pursued for quite a while since he went bad, so to speak, doing his own privateering. And he wanted to get a pardon. And the governor of New Jersey at the time, the royal governor of New Jersey, promised him a pardon. All he had to do was return to England and accept the pardon, give up his piracy, and it would be done. However, this was all a trap to get him into England. And when they got him there, they quickly tried him and hanged him. And the unfortunate part about this is that they hanged him twice, because the first time the rope broke, he did not die, and they had to hang him a second time. And after they hanged him the second time, they put his body in a steel case, and they hung him for 3 years over the Thames River, left him there, his body rotting over the Thames River for 3 years, as a sign to all that piracy will not be tolerated in the British Empire. So quite a gruesome and horrible end that he met by the same government that he had worked for at one point. Hello, Angelique. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. So I don't know exactly how he ends up being a ghost in New Jersey, because he died in England. There's no question about it. That's where he met his end, and a gruesome end at that. But it turns out probably because his treasure. It's probably because he was linked to his treasure, and his exact treasure was never found. And it is said to have been over $1 million worth of treasure. And over the years, many have looked for this treasure and tried to find it and dig it up. And there's a couple of stories about it. In fact, in 1825, two men claim to have found the treasure along the Jersey Shore, along the Brigantine Inlet. Now, the story was that Captain Kidd, hid his treasure or buried his treasure between certain tree markers, and these trees would create a triangle. And wherever that triangle came to a point, the center of the triangle between the three trees would be where the treasure would be buried. Now, these two men in 1825 claimed to have found this location. And they begin to dig and claim to have found the treasure. Now, as they're digging up the treasure, this is where things go nuts, because they say as they're doing this, out of the ground, they see the ghostly spirit of Captain Kidd rising from right in front of their very eyes, and with sword or saber in hand, and he begins to go after them to protect his treasure. And at this point in time, they panic and they run like rabbits and abandon the treasure. And they run like rabbits, and they leave the area, the inlet where they had found this, where the three trees had made this triangle. And then when the story goes, when they came back the very next day in daylight, because they said this happened at night, the treasure was gone. So it once again was lost. Now, who knows if this was just a story or if it actually happened, but that's the first documented sighting of Captain Kidd's ghost in 1825, which is kind of a long way back to have a documented ghost story, I guess. But yeah, and they described him as breathing sulfur, that he was so vicious and villain looking so villainous with his saber and glowing red eyes and breathing sulfur as if he came from the depths of hell, that they ran like in panicked and got out of there. Hello, Gianni. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for coming in. Now, the second story about Captain Kidd goes to New York City and the old Trinity Church. And it's said that he has been seen walking amongst the tombstones. And there it was said that many who encountered the ghost would actually speak to Captain Kidd, that he would interact with people, and he would try to get them to go with him to get his treasure. So basically, he's recruiting people to help him recover his treasure at the Trinity Church in New York City. Very old church, going back to the 1600s. So that's the second story. And that story is repetitive. I've seen that many times, that people have claimed over the years to encounter him in the graveyard of the Trinity Church. And then the final story about Captain Kidd is simply that he walks the shoreline of the Brigantine Inlet, often with a lantern, often humming tunes of sailors would sing. And with him comes this icy cold breeze. So if you were to encounter him, you might hear the humming, you might see the lantern light coming towards you, but it would be hearkened by this very ice cold breeze that would chill your bones. And many say that especially in the 1800s, during the 1800s, that whenever he was passing, his spirit was passing, horses would be spooked and jump their corrals. And there were several horse corrals along this inlet at the time. And if it was a night where his ghost was walking, the horses would buck and jump from the corrals because his spirit would be so disturbing to them. And many say they still see the footsteps in the sands on nights that he appears, and it is the shape of an old-time boot, an old-time pirate-like boot that they see prints in the sand. So Captain Kidd, the once beloved British privateer who turned pirate and met a gruesome end at the hands of the British Empire, seems to still be hanging around Matawan Creek and all these Cliffwood Beach, all these around the Manasquan Inlet and the Brigantine Inlet. So check him out. You might encounter him. Who knows? And maybe, who knows, he might be asking you to help him with his treasure. Who knows? He's done it before. He might do it again. And remember, there's over $1 million worth of gold that was buried and to this day has never been found. So who knows? It's possible, right? Hello, the judge. Thanks for coming in. Great to see you. So there you have it, the ghost of Captain Kidd.